You're watching Byline Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
Incumbent Mayor Bill Saffo is joining us on this edition of Byline. He's seeking re-election. By the way, polls are open for early voting, so make sure if you don't want to wait in line on election day that you go by and cast your vote if you're a city resident. Let's talk about the collapsed convention center hotel deal. Mm-hmm. How much blame should council shoulder for that?
Well, it's a private sector issue. The public sector has done its part. It's built a publicly financed convention center using room occupancy tax. What I feel is going to happen is the city council is going to reconvene, determine what type of a hotel we're going to want, and we're going to put it back out for an RFQ, request for qualifications and request for proposal.
Was it bad judgment to give 6 extensions to the development group that were trying to build it?
Well, you know, understanding the economic conditions that we were in and knowing the problems that they were going through to obtain financing, we gave them those extensions. Obviously, they were also putting up a certain amount of deposit money that they lost, almost $200,000, which is not chicken feed. And they tried. We gave them every opportunity to do this, and we had worked with them for a number of months, in addition to the amount of money that they put into design of a hotel and engineering costs. So it wasn't just the money that they put up for the city for the deposit money, but also money that they invested with plans and design and engineering. But saying that, the private sector now is going to have to step up. This thing was the room occupancy tax was specific. It was to build a publicly financed convention center, not a convention center hotel.
But the city's concept included a hotel. Even though it wasn't publicly funded.
But we have allowed for the property along the river, which is 0.62 of an acre, that sits on the beautiful Cape Fear River with a beautiful river walk in front of it, with water and sewer to the property, adjacent to or attached to a convention center, publicly financed convention center, with a parking deck. I don't think we're going to have a problem in obtaining a hotel in that particular location. It's the type of hotel that we as a community is going to want. We're not under the gun anymore. And the other thing that I do want to say, Don, is that we wanted to make certain that there was more than enough money coming in to make certain that we could pay for the debt service and the mortgage of this convention center. Taking into consideration if you have a 9/11 incident, if you have the Great Recession that we're going through today, and if you do not have a hotel.
Well, there's talk about settling for less than a full-service hotel with restaurant and other amenities. How important is a full-service hotel to the success of the convention center?
This is a great 21st century city, and we have built a first-class convention center. I do not want to settle for a second-class hotel. I want a full-service hotel. We deserve it, and it's going to help us. I can't tell you.
Will you get it?
I think we will get it. In fact, I don't. Not only we're going to get one there, I think we're going to get other hotels in our downtown. The other thing that has not made the news, but there was another group of hoteliers that came into town that bought a piece of property at 2nd and Gray Street to put a 133-room Marriott there, and they've gotten caught in this economic collapse that we've gone through as a country. I think we're coming out of it, but I think it's going to take some time. But we are going to have some hotels downtown. And I do want to say this. When I met with Mayor Riley when he came in for a presentation, he told me personally, he says, one of the things that I see that is glaring.
Mayor Riley from
Mayor Joe Riley from Charleston, great mayor, and has transformed Charleston. Saw it immediately. He says, one of the things that I see glaring in your city is you do not have visitors accommodations in your downtown. I went through the same problem in Charleston. Savannah has it, Charleston has it, Wilmington needs it, and that's one of the pieces.
He must have meant we don't have enough, because certainly the Wilmington Hilton.
Yes, yes, exactly, yeah. We don't have enough, and what we need is a critical mass of folks down there that will shop down there, that will eat down there, and that's one of the things that downtown needs to transform downtown.
Your opponent suggested, then I'll get off the convention center, that if it's not holding its own after 2 years, it should be sold to a private operator.
Well, the law is pretty specific. We collect that room occupancy tax to pay for a convention center. We go through the local government commission to obtain the money to make sure that they approve the funding and the financing that the city.
Could it ever be sold?
I guess it could be sold, but I also want to remind the voters that we had a deal very similar to that with a private entity where the Mata Hoffler came in here, was going to build their hotel and manage the convention center and incur all of the losses. But we were sued by the Motel Hotel Association that felt that that was unfair trade practices and that would be unfair competition. So we had to change the structure of the deal. The law is very specific. The room occupancy tax is to be collected to pay for the convention center, and it does.
There was a recent front page story suggesting that crime is a growing problem in Wilmington and has become an election issue. What's your take on that?
Well, first of all, since 2002, we've had a 30% reduction in Part 1 crimes. These are
Explain Part 1.
Part 1 crimes is rapes, robberies, murders. Part 1 violent crimes. We've had a 30% reduction since 2002. That was a benchmark year that we saw that was probably the highest spiked year in crime in our community.
How about over the last year? Do you have any figures?
I do not have any figures, but I will say this, that last year about this time we had about 13 murders in the city of Wilmington. This year we have 1. Our police department is doing a phenomenal job.
So it's not a growing problem?
I don't think it's a growing problem. I will say this, and the police chief will share this with you. We have a situation in this state with structured sentencing, where if somebody's committing property crimes, they're being put in jail for very short durations. We're seeing people that are being arrested 30 and 40 times. Our police officers are arresting people. Our detectives are apprehending people. We're putting them in jail and they're coming right back out.
It's a revolving door.
It's a revolving door.
Judicial issue.
And I'll say this, Don, you cannot arrest yourself out of this problem either. I mean, this is a statewide problem. We need to put more money into our judicial system. I think we use 2.1% of the state budget. We really need to get about 3%.
Should we build more jails?
Well,
I know it's not a city issue. I'm curious
not
your response.
It's not a city issue, but if we're going to be arresting people that are committing crimes over and over again, then you have to put them away for a little bit longer than 12 months and then let them out in 6 months and then they come out and they recommit the same crime.
Your opponent suggests that more officers are needed by the WPD to keep the city safe. How do you answer that?
Well, we have 268. We're at full staff right now, and we were able to obtain $2 million in stimulus money from the federal government to accomplish that. We have spent in this community since 2004 about $287 million in public safety. That's fire and police, because let's not forget, public safety is a large component of our city's budget. In fact, we collect $46 million in property taxes, and hypothetically, if you look at just the property taxes, we spend almost $30-some million between the fire department and the police department, $23 million for police, $14 million for fire. So over 80% of the taxes, or 80% of the budget is eaten up by your police and fire departments. So we're going to continue to make those investments. We've built a brand new Southeast Command Center down over here on the south end of town near Longleaf Mall. We built a brand new police station, $24 million, 2 new fire stations at Seagate and Masonboro Loop Road. We gave the city gave our police officers and our firemen the raises they needed, so we weren't losing them in regards to attrition. So we've done our job.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back. When we return, we'll talk to the mayor about the crime force, the task force nightlife crime report, and get his take on that. Stay with us.